Hey everybody, welcome to the Manufacturing M&A Podcast. My name is Mike Fritz. I am your host. I am so jacked to launch this podcast and really talk about my favorite thing to talk about, which is buying, building, growing, scaling, and selling manufacturing companies. And the reason I love that so much is it's such a forced multiplier to the business you're in. But more than that, it's even a better way to run your business overall. Even if you never sell it, what you want to do is run it as though you're going to sell it tomorrow, because it calls you to put things in place that are effective company systems, processes, etc. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of manufacturing companies aren't sellable at all. Episode 1 is today, and I'm going to start by telling you why a lot of shops aren't sellable and why I look at opportunities and say no. There's a lot of things that happen inside of growing a shop that makes it sellable or makes it really, really hard to sell. And so this isn't necessarily like, oh, this is how to make your shop worth more money. There are some shops that just can't hardly be sold other than maybe piecing off the equipment. And you would be shocked at how many shops go through that. How many shops actually just piece off the equipment at the end of the day? We're actually working with a shop right now and taking over their operations for that very point. And the truth is, to set yourself up for success is to run your business like you're going to sell it tomorrow. So the thesis of manufacturing M&A is running your company like you're going to sell it tomorrow. And the truth is, as you know, I've bought 9 machine shops and automation companies and all kinds of stuff, sold some of them, still buying, still selling, all kinds of stuff. I work in the manufacturing M&A advisory space, helping people prep and exit their companies, and I've learned a couple things. There are really 6 reasons why people buy machine shops. This is going to start as you remember when Kirk and I launched the Machine Shop Growth Podcast, which if you haven't listened to that on operations, the shop floor, how you make sure that you are ready to run parts successfully well, make money with what you have. Make sure you also tune into the Machine Shop Growth Podcast, which is the one that Kirk runs. But if you notice, when we started that podcast, we started with framing the 3 customer relationship of current, dormant, and past customers. Well, in manufacturing M&A, there are 6 reasons companies or people buy shops. And so if you're owning one, you need to, if you're on the I own and I want to sell side, then you need to look at these 6 things and make sure you implement them. If you're on the buy side, these are the 6 things you ought to be looking for, right? And so that's what I'm going to outline for you today. So number 1, we're just going to dive into it. If you know anything about our content, we are very practical. I don't like pie in the sky stuff. I want it on the ground. I want it where we live. Which is in the shop walls, which we're dealing with RFQs and POs and time constraints. And, we got to get this part off. And we ship like crazy, and then we don't have any work the next month. We live in that world. And in order to do that, in fact, I was talking to a guy the other day, and he's like, we have so much work right now, we're strapped for cash. How does that even work? You're strapped for cash if you don't, because a lot of times work comes in, you're buying material, buying this, buying tooling, buying this, you got to hire 2 or 3 more guys, depletes your cash, right? Hopefully it's only for a time. But my point is, this business needs a couple things in place to make sure you understand what you're doing in order to sell, or what you're looking for in order to buy. And by the way, I have made every mistake you can think of times 10 buying wrong shops, or selling wrong shops and selling in the wrong way, maybe selling too early, selling too late. I've done it all. So I tell you all that because I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did, right? I don't want you to make those mistakes. So again, in this podcast, this is really your side cart podcast when you want to buy, build, or sell a shop, so that you're running it in an effective way, so it builds generational wealth for you and your family. And that's what I love about the manufacturing space. It is full of some of the best people I have ever met in my life. And I do not want you to work your whole life building this amazing company and not be able to sell it just because there's a few things you didn't know, right? So number 1, what people buy, the number 1 thing, and again, we're going to have an episode on each one of these things because they're really important topics. The number 1 thing they buy is predictable cash flow. Now, those 3 words are very important to understand how they work together. Predictable cash flow, right? So having cash flow is one thing. That's the lifeblood of any company. No cash flow, no life, right? It's the oxygen that your company uses to breathe. We know that. Predictability in a cash mechanism, or predictability in a cash flow system, is that I know when it's coming in, how it's coming in, where it's coming from, and what I'm going to do with it when I get it. Predictability means I know I have a really good relationship with these 5 customers and they send us this much work per year. And if one of them goes down, the other one usually goes up, and I've got some predictability in that cash system. There's a couple things about a predictability in cash flow is number one, it's really, really scary to have so much customer concentration. One customer goes down, your business goes down. And I don't mean business goes out of business, but your revenue goes down. And I have been there many times and even am still there in one of our companies where we have a customer that just it was really big when I bought it, and we continue to work it down through sales, but then they gave us more work and they expanded. So sometimes that is a real issue. And customer concentration is one of the biggest attacks on companies in manufacturing during the exit phase, because somebody buying a company, if it's too dependent on one customer, it's a risk profile. Most people that are buying companies that do it well, that know what they're doing, they have a risk profile already in place. They have a risk meter and they know what pushes up or pulls down risk. And one of the things that drives up risk is customer concentration. Because if that customer goes away or whatever, even customers that have been around for 10, 15, 20, 30 years in a company, that lowers that risk. And if you have many years of predictability, that does lower the risk. But one thing that raises that risk is customer concentration. And that makes cash flow a little bit less predictable. So we want to predict cash flow. We want to know about what we're going to ship every month and how that's going to work. And predictability is proven through time, right? So I have, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of consistent stair-step growth working with my customers, and it's predictable, right? And so that predictability is the first and foremost thing that any buyer is going to look at. Okay. So just know that. That's first thing. The second thing is your leadership systems. Leadership systems, the reason that's such an important thing for people buying or for you selling is because when somebody buys it, somebody got to run that company. And if you're the owner and the operator and you're leaving, maybe you're going to stick around for a small amount of time, 5 months, 6 months, 10 months, a year, a week. It doesn't matter necessarily, but that leadership has to be in place. They're buying leadership. Some people, like I did when I was growing, I already had shops in place. And when I was buying another shop, I was buying leadership. I was buying programmers and buying shop leaders that could manage multiple sites at once, right? So leadership is important to have in place. And again, you go through shops, you want to have your leadership points covered. You want to have your operation, your quoting, and your programming, and your setups, and you want to have in QA, you want to have all those leadership points, finance, all of them covered. Because when somebody buys a company, especially if they're going to be an absentee owner and they're not going to necessarily live there or operate it, it's just a bolt on to an existing system, they're going to really dive into your leadership and who does what, how long they've been there, are they stable, are they fit to leave, all that kind of stuff, right? So just know, hitting coffee this morning, you got to come on, we're in manufacturing, that's part of this. You'll never grow or sell a business without coffee. That I'm joking, kind of. The truth of the matter is, when you come into leadership, if you have to think when I'm buying and if you're involved in the company and I'm buying, I'm asking who's going to replace you. What kind of hole is created by your involvement? I say this word a lot. It's the word decouple. The value of your business rises the more decoupled you are from the operation. When you decouple yourself from operations, when people come in and they don't have to talk to you every day, figure out what they're doing, the less that happens, the higher the more your business is worth. In fact, I tell people, think about your week in a 40, 50-hour week. You're working 8 to 10 hours a day. Let's say over time, the closer you get to exit, if you can squash that down to 30 and then 20 and then 50, the goal isn't for you to not work. I understand that, but the goal is to make it so it's less dependent on you. And the less dependent it is on you, the higher value you're going to get. I cut my teeth buying extreme owner operated companies and I was getting them at 2x. Had they replaced themselves, they'd have sold it to me for 4. That's what I did. I bought them at 2, put leadership in place, and I can sell them for 4. And that's a value mechanism you can play. Anytime you are in a place where it's dependent on you, your multiple is going to get squashed. And in M&A, in manufacturing M&A, any kind of M&A, the multiple drives the metric, right? So multiple is what this whole business is based on. It's buying and selling companies, it's a multiple. And that multiple is applied to EBITDA. So your EBITDA, your earnings before interest, tax, appreciation, and depreciation, you take that number, and in certain sectors, you are aiming at a multiple X of that number. So if the EBITDA is 500,000, you're selling for 2X, you're selling for $1 million. Or if it's 4X, you're selling for $2 million. That's a big difference, guys. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is when you're increasing this, leadership is important. But that multiple game is hit or risen based on leadership. You can often buy at 2 to 3 and sell at 4 to 5 if you can put leadership in place. Big deal, right? Now you have to make sure cash flow can cover that extra leadership. And that's usually if you're buying and you have debt and you have leadership in place, and all of that stuff, then you have to put on debt. That goes against the EBITDA. Then you have to bring in more leaders. That goes against the EBITDA. It's very easy to go to zero and be negative by adding too much too fast, right? So you have to make sure you understand that. But when people are buying, they're looking at that leadership mechanism. So make sure as you're prepping to sell or you're looking to buy, really do a leadership audit of your team. Go on vacation for a month and see if your company survives. And I don't mean that literally, but I'm serious. I'm like, it's a test. Go away for a week, see how they do. Go away for 2 weeks, see how they do. Go away for a month, see how they do. Again, it's not that you don't take phone calls, you don't answer questions, but the idea is that stress test the leadership to strengthen your points of contact so they know what they're doing. This is a really big piece to the puzzle, right? The third one is, you guys have heard us talk 100 times about this, but it's systems. Having documented systems in place of how we do things. Did you notice I did not say have systems? Document systems. Document systems. Documented systems make your company worth more money. Documented systems, it can be inside your ERP. It can be inside of Excel spreadsheet, but you got to have those systems documented. You get an RFQ. Is there a process for quoting? Is there a process for saying yes or no to a part? Is there a process for routing? Is there a process for programming? Do you have processes and procedures in place that really, so somebody could pick up your process manual and run your company? The goal is for somebody with zero knowledge of who you are to come in and read your systems manual and know what's going on. That's what a good documented system does. And that's what I want you to do, right? That's what I want you to do based on if you're going to buy or sell. And if you're buying, again, this has come from two sides, buy or sell. If you're buying, look for those systems. If they don't have any systems in place, this is what I bought. I bought owner-operated companies, zero tech, zero systems. Tech meaning ERPs, good websites, CRMs, all that stuff. They didn't have any of it. Well, that's why I got it so cheap. The moment those systems start getting added, the value goes up, right? And you can add value by adding ERPs and adding all of those things, right? So again, documenting your systems is key. Documenting your systems is key. And the fourth one is customer relationships. People are buying relationships with customers. There are times I would buy companies because I'm like, they're in with that contractor. They're in with that company. They're in with that company. That's worth it for me. They buy customer relationships because sometimes getting in with big defense contractors or big aerospace companies or big OEMs, that ain't easy. Right? They've got their beloved vendors, and getting on that list takes a lot of work. There's people that would give their right arm to be in some of these big companies to change their life. And so customer relationships are a reason they buy. So protect them and nurture them. Do not just assume that customers are going to send you their work this year because they sent you work last year. Don't be doing that. Manage customers, right? There's a software, and you know this, a CRM, customer relationship management system. If you don't have that, get one. But my point in saying that is a lot of times we can't rely 100% on the management of our relationship through our software. We got to do some face to face, do some lunches, some coffees, some dinners, some cocktail parties, some like, hey, let's hang out, let's get to know each other. That goes a long way. Or just going into their shop every now and then. Now, the bigger the contract or the bigger the customer, the harder that is to do. I mean, some of these big defense contractors, it takes hours just to get in the building because of all the security. But my point in saying all that is you want to be really intentional about customer nurturing. Nurture those customers, because when you sell, that's one of the key currencies people are buying. They're buying customers. They're buying customers, right? We always think about our company in three buckets: capabilities, capacities, customers, or work, right? So what do we Capability, meaning what can we do? Capacity, how much can we do? Customer, who can we do it for? And inside of those three C's, we know where we need to stress, and we have an entire spreadsheet system we've built in order to go in and assess a company. When we assess a company, say put it in here and here and here, it spits out tons of number data for us, and we say, okay, yep, we can tell your capacity low. You guys are you're probably really needing to find people right now. They're like, oh my gosh, we can't find enough people. Well, we can tell by the numbers, right? And so those three things, capacity, capability, customers, are the big things you focus on, right? Well, I say all that to say, because when you're putting in systems and when you're adding in these documented systems and you're building these customers, you want to make sure you're focusing on the right things. Sometimes you've done enough customer relationship building. You got enough customers, you got enough work, you need to nurture the ones you got. Maybe you need to go find some more. So in customers, we're either nurturing what we have or we're seeking more of them. But either way, people buy customer relationships, and you should too if you're looking to acquire a shop. The next one is kind of goes back to recurring revenue, or I'm sorry, predictable cash flow, but is recurring revenue. And these are LTAs or LTCs, long-term contracts or long-term agreements where you're doing work over and over and over again. So let's say you land a 5-year contract with a company, and that's recurring revenue. We know that that's coming in over the next 5 years. That's a really good spin to the multiple. It's a really good time to look at exiting when you land a big contract, because somebody coming in to buy, there's work. Same thing for you. If you're looking to buy a company, ask, are there any LTAs in place? If there's long-term agreements, if there's some LTAs in place, you have to stress a little bit less about cash. It's a big deal. So that recurring revenue is a huge marker, right? It's a huge marker. So recurring revenue on all points. And then again, this is where systems come into place, but having scalable operations. Let's say you are running your shop out of 5,000 square feet. You couldn't fit another machine in there if you wanted to. Can you scale that? Okay, well, we can do a second shift. Yeah, maybe. Second shifts are pretty hard to do. But if it's scalable, it goes for more money. Can you automate? Can you strap automation on machines, pullers and feeders and robots and all kinds of stuff? Or if you run a fab shop, can you scale operations? Do you have the square footage, the capabilities, the capacity to scale operations? Because if you're at your ceiling, it's really tough to sell the future. People are buying the potential of growth. They're not buying where you are today. Now they're underwriting where you are today. And what that means is I'm looking at a business, I'm evaluating if I should buy it based on where you are today, because I can't pay my today bills with tomorrow's cash flow. But the truth is, I can look at and assess what you're looking at and see the growth opportunity. There's a shop we're about to close on in a few months here, and it's got a long growth trajectory, right? Very underutilized, powerful shop, great people, amazing capabilities, and it's going to add some things to our network I don't have, and that's going to really give us the opportunity to scale. We're buying capacity and capability. And we're buying customers, but we're also really buying just that capacity piece. We can put a lot of work in there. So again, this is what people are looking to buy, and this is what you should be looking to sell. So again, just to go, and we're going to give an episode to each of these, because believe me, they're a discussion in and of themselves. So again, predictable cash flow, leadership, systems, documented systems, customer relationships, recurring earning, scalable operations. Those 6 things are what really round out a company and make it sellable, because the truth is some are not. If you're going to sell your company, stop thinking like a manufacturing owner and start thinking like somebody who is going to sell their company, even if you never are. Again, even if you're never going to sell, you want to run your company like you're going to sell it. Right. And this is what I really want everybody to get a hold of, is that your company, your manufacturing company, has the ability to grow no matter what. Adopt that belief system, and then you solve the problem for growth. But I want you to first say, I'm going to run this company like I'm going to sell it tomorrow, because that's the best way to run a company. And even if you never sell it, even if you give it to your kids, that's the best thing to give to your kids, is a company that's poised for growth in the future, right? Whether you give it to your kids or sell it or whatever, you want to run it like you're going to sell it tomorrow. And you don't have to just close up shop and sell off the machines. There's ways to do that. You can even bring in fractional leadership to lead this thing for you. Don't just piece off your shop. Let us help. You can always hit me up on LinkedIn or reach out to me at mike.fritz@americanprecisionpartners.com. We'll help you with that. Don't just piece off your shop. Make sure you understand what this process looks like. When you subscribe, if you will, like when people engage me to help sell their company, the reason that the first thing I'm going through with them is this 6 outline list. Let's prep and get these things in place, or at least let's share the narrative of how these things are in place, and then we'll get you maximum dollar. But don't just go around and don't just hope it happens. I can tell you, most of the shops I purchased early in my career, it was owners that just accepted the work that came. They really didn't go out and do much marketing. They might have done a little, go to a trade show here and there. But even going to a trade show, that is a big waste of money if you don't have a differentiator. And a differentiator usually comes in cert or capability, meaning you've got some sort of certification that you can do certain industry parts, or you've got a capability that a lot of people don't have. That's a really big deal, right? So again, continue to think, if I'm going to sell it tomorrow, how am I running it today? If I'm going to sell it tomorrow, how am I running it today? Thanks again for tuning in episode number 1 of the Manufacturing M&A Podcast. We are the first and third Tuesday of every month. We run a new episode. If you have any questions about how you can prep your company for sale, or how you can get it on the market, or how you can just build it, make sure you reach out. Love you all. Thank you so much. Thanks for what you do for manufacturing. We'll see you in the next episode.